They came to conquer Earth. But the moment they saw the Terran War Titan, even the strongest aliens forgot how to breathe. The alien fleet moved slowly through the dark space. Their ships were large and powerful, each one built for war and destruction. They had traveled across many star systems and had never lost a battle before. Their confidence was high, and their leader believed this mission would be quick and easy. Ahead of them was a quiet human system. No defense fleets, no visible weapons, no signs of resistance. It looked weak and open, just another easy target. Inside the command ship, the alien commander looked at the blue planet on his screen. He smiled with cold pride. He had seen many worlds like this before, worlds that would soon burn. Prepare all ships for invasion, he ordered, his voice calm and strong. The fleet responded at once. Weapon systems powered up, engines glowed brighter, and formation tightened. They were ready to strike. But then something strange happened. One of the sensor officers spoke with a confused tone. "Commander, we are detecting something unusual." The commander frowned. "What is it?" "It is large, very large, but it is not a planet and not a station." The commander stood up now, interested. "Show me." The main screen changed and zoomed into deep space far ahead of the fleet. At first there was nothing, only darkness and distant stars. Then slowly, a shape appeared. It was massive, so big that it almost blended into the void around it. The room became quiet. "What is that?" the commander asked. No answer came. The object was not sending signals. It was not moving. It was just there, silent and still, like it had been waiting. "Increase scan power," the commander said. The sensors focused harder and more details began to appear. Edges sharp and unnatural, lines too perfect to be natural. And then something else. Lights one by one. Faint lights began to glow across the surface of the giant object. The alien crew watched in silence. It was not dead. It was waking up. Some officers felt a strange feeling in their chest, something they had never felt before. It was not confusion. It was not curiosity. It was fear. The commander quickly spoke. "Ready, all weapons, target the object." But before the order could fully spread, another voice interrupted. "Commander, weapon systems are not responding." "What do you mean not responding?" the commander said with anger. "They are locked. Something is blocking our systems." The room filled with tension. No enemy had ever stopped their weapons before. This was impossible. The giant shape in space remained still. But now more lights turned on, glowing stronger, revealing more of its body. It was a ship. A warship beyond anything they had ever seen. Its surface was covered with heavy armor. Its design was sharp and powerful, and at its center there was a massive structure that looked like a heart of pure energy. The alien fleet suddenly felt small. The commander stared at the screen, his confidence slowly fading. "What kind of human weapon is this?" he whispered. No one answered. The object finally moved, slowly at first. Then with quiet power it shifted in space, turning its massive body toward the alien fleet. No sound, no warning, just motion, and in that moment every alien on that ship understood one thing. They were no longer the hunters. They had just stepped into something far greater than themselves. The alien fleet froze in space as the giant human war machine slowly turned toward them. Its movement was smooth and controlled, like a predator that already knew the outcome of the hunt. Inside the command ship, the air felt heavy. No one spoke for a moment. Every eye was fixed on the screen, with a massive Terran War Titan now faced them fully. The commander forced himself to stay calm. "This is just a machine," he said in a low voice. "Humans are weak. They hide behind their technology. We have destroyed stronger civilizations than this." But even as he spoke, his voice did not sound as strong as before. The sensor officer tried again to scan the Titan. "Commander, we cannot read its full structure. Our systems are being blocked. It is like it does not want to be seen." The commander tightened his grip on the control rail. "Then we will not wait. Prepare full assault fire. Everything we have." Orders spread across the fleet. Energy weapons, charged missile bays, open targeting systems locked on the massive Titan. For a brief moment, the aliens felt normal. Again, this was what they knew: war, destruction, control fire. A wave of light filled space as hundreds of weapons fired at once, beams of energy missiles, plasma strikes, all rushing toward the Titan. The fleet watched, waiting for impact, waiting for the explosion that always followed. But something impossible happened. The attacks reached the Titan and then simply faded away. No explosion, no damage, not even a mark. It was as if the Titan had swallowed the attack without effort. Silence returned heavier than before. One officer whispered, "That is not possible." Another ship fired again, then another trying to break the unknown defense, but every attack vanished, the same way, lost in front of the Titan like dust in a storm. The commander felt something cold move through his body. This was no longer a normal battle. This was something else, something beyond anything they had faced before. Report, he demanded. Commander, the Titan is generating a field around itself. It is absorbing or canceling all incoming attacks. We cannot penetrate it. Then increase power. Break through it, he shouted. But even as he gave the order, he knew it would not work. The Titan did not react. It did not rush forward. It did not fire back. It only watched them, its massive presence filling the empty space like a silent warning, and then something changed. A low-energy pulse spread from the Titan, moving across the void, touching every alien ship. Systems began to flicker, lights dimmed, some ships lost control of their engines. Panic started to grow. "Commander, we are losing. Systems navigation is failing. Weapons are offline. How is this happening?" The commander said, his voice now filled with anger and fear. No answer came. The Titan had not fired a weapon yet, and still the alien fleet was falling apart. One of the smaller ships tried to escape, turning away and pushing its engines to full power. For a moment, it seemed to work. Then the Titan moved, just a slight movement, but enough. A single beam of light formed from the Titan so fast that no one could react. It touched the fleeing ship, and the ship disappeared. Not destroyed, not broken, just gone, like it had never existed. A deep silence followed. No one in the fleet moved. No one spoke. The commander stared at the empty space where his ship had been. His mind struggled to understand what he had just seen. This was not war. This was control. This was power beyond reason. And for the first time in his long life, the alien commander felt something he had never known before. Not doubt, not anger, not confusion, but true fear. The silence after the disappearance of the alien ship felt heavier than any explosion ever could. The fleet remained frozen, as if space itself had tightened around them, refusing to let them move. No one spoke on the command ship. Even the commander stood still, his eyes locked on the massive shape ahead. The Terran War Titan no longer felt like a machine. It felt like something alive, something live, something judging. The sensor officer finally broke the silence. "Commander, we are receiving new data." The commander did not look away from the screen. "Say it, the Titan is no longer hiding its structure. It is allowing us to see it." Slowly, more details appeared across the display. The shadow that once hid its true size now revealed a form so vast that it made the alien fleet look like dust. Its surface was covered in layers of dark metal, each plate larger than entire alien ships. Lines of glowing energy ran across its body, like veins pulsing with quiet power. Massive structures rose from its surface, towers, cannons, and unknown systems that stretched into space. It was not just a ship. It was a moving fortress, a war god built by human hands. One officer whispered, "This is impossible. No species builds something like this." But the data kept coming. "Commander, its energy output is beyond measurable limits. Our systems cannot calculate it." The commander finally spoke, his voice low and shaken. "What is its weapon capacity?" The officer hesitated before answering, "Unknown. We cannot find limits." That answer was worse than any number. The Titan continued to drift forward. Slowly, each movement controlled, each shift precise. There was no rush, no aggression, just certainty, as if it already knew the battle was over. Another signal appeared on the screen. A transmission. It was not complex. It was not hidden. It was simple. A human signal. "Open channel," the commander said. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a single line of sound filled the command room, calm, steady, and without emotion. "You have entered human space. No threat, no anger, just a statement." The commander felt something break inside him. He had expected fear or weakness. "Not this quiet control. This system belongs to us. Leave now." Again, no emotion, no urgency, as if the outcome was already decided. Some officers looked at the commander, waiting for his order, waiting for him to speak, to show strength. But the commander stayed silent for a moment, his mind racing. They had faced many enemies before, but no one had ever spoken like this. No one had ever sounded so certain. Another officer whispered, "Commander, we should retreat." The word felt strange in the room. Retreat was not something they said. The commander clenched his jaw. No, we do not run from prey, he said, trying to hold on to his pride. He turned back to the screen and spoke. Send response. Tell them they will surrender or be destroyed. The message was sent. Seconds passed. Then the reply came. You do not understand. Those 4 words echoed through the room, heavier than any threat. The Titan began to change. Sections of its massive body shifted, panels moved open, revealing deeper layers of glowing systems. Weapons began to align slowly, aiming toward the alien fleet. The energy around it grew stronger. The space itself seemed to bend slightly around its form. Every alien ship detected the change. Every system screamed warnings. Commander, the Titan is preparing something we cannot measure. Is building energy at levels beyond anything recorded. Fear spread openly. Now no one tried to hide it. The commander stared at the screen, his confidence finally gone, replaced by a cold realization. This was not a battle they could win. This was a lesson, and they were about to learn it the hard way. The moment the Terran War Titan finished its silent preparation, the entire battlefield changed. The space around it no longer felt empty. It felt heavy, like something massive was pressing down on everything at once. Inside, the alien command ship alarms began to rise one after another. Not loud, but constant, like a warning that could not be ignored. Commander, energy levels are rising beyond limit. We cannot stabilize our systems. The commander did not respond. His eyes were locked on the Titan as more sections of its surface opened, revealing deeper layers of glowing structures, each one brighter than the last. It was not just powering up. It was waking fully. The alien fleet tried to react. Ships moved out of formation, trying to spread out, trying to escape the invisible pressure that was growing stronger every second. But something strange happened. Their movement felt slow, delayed, like space itself was resisting them. Navigation is failing. Engines are not responding properly. One officer said, his voice shaking. The Titan had not fired yet, and still the fleet was losing control. Then, without warning, the Titan released a pulse. It was not visible at first. Just a silent wave that spread outward, touching every ship at once. And in that instant, everything changed. Half the fleet lost power completely. Ships drifted without control, their lights fading, their weapons dead. Others began to spin slowly, unable to correct their direction. Commander, we are losing everything. Systems are shutting down. We cannot fight like this. Panic filled every corner of the ship. The commander tried to hold his ground, restore systems, reroute power, do something, but no one had answers. The Titan finally made its first true move. One of its massive weapons aligned fully, a structure so large it looked like a city floating on its surface. Energy gathered at its center, forming a single point of blinding light. Every alien ship detected it. Every system screamed the same message, incoming, but there was no time to react. The weapon fired. A single beam crossed the distance instantly. No sound, no warning, just light. It touched one of the largest alien ships in the fleet. For a brief second, nothing happened. Then the ship collapsed inward, its entire structure folding into itself before vanishing completely. No explosion, no debris, no trace, just empty space. A wave of fear spread faster than any signal. Some ships tried to run, turning away at full power, but their engines struggled against the strange force surrounding them. Others fired blindly, sending attacks toward the Titan in desperation, but every shot faded before reaching it. They were not fighting, they were being erased. The commander felt his control slipping. This was no longer war, this was execution. Send retreat signal, he finally said, his voice no longer strong. The words felt heavy, like defeat signals were sent across the fleet, but many ships could not respond, their systems already gone, their fate already sealed. The Titan continued its slow movement, advancing without hurry, without anger, each step forward bringing more pressure, more fear. Another weapon activated, another beam formed, another ship disappeared one by one. The alien fleet was being reduced to nothing. Inside the command ship, silence returned, but it was not the same silence as before. This one was filled with fear, with the understanding that they had made a mistake they could not fix. The commander looked at the screen, his eyes wide, his mind unable to accept what was happening. They had come to conquer. They had come as hunters, but now they were trapped inside something far worse, a power they could not understand, a force that did not need to rush or shout, because it already knew there was no escape. And for the first time in their history, the invaders truly felt fear. The battlefield was no longer a place of war. It had become a place of judgment. The alien fleet that once moved with pride and control was now broken, scattered, and silent. Many ships were drifting without power. Others were simply gone erased as if they had never existed. The Terran War Titan continued to move forward slowly, its massive form cutting through space with quiet certainty. It did not chase. It did not rush it, simply advanced, like time itself, unstoppable and cold. Inside the remaining alien command ship, the crew sat frozen, their systems flickering, their screens filled with warnings that no one could fix. "Commander, we have lost more than half the fleet," one officer said, his voice weak. Another added, "Communication is collapsing. Distress signals are not reaching anyone." The commander stood still, his mind trying to hold on to something, anything that could give them a chance. "There must be a weakness," he said slowly. "No weapon is perfect." But even as he spoke, he knew this was different. This was not a weapon built to fight equals. This was something built to end wars before they even began. Suddenly, a new signal appeared across the command screen. It was not from the Titan. It was from behind. "Multiple contacts emerging from warp," one officer said, his eyes wide. The commander turned quickly. "Show me." Space behind the alien fleet twisted and opened, and from it new ships arrived, human ships. Smaller than the Titan, but still powerful and heavily armed, they moved in perfect formation, surrounding the remaining alien forces from every side. The trap was complete. "They are closing in," the officer said. The commander felt the last piece of hope disappear. They were no longer facing one impossible enemy. Now there were many, and they all moved with the same calm precision. The Titan slowed its advance as the human fleet took position around it like soldiers standing beside a giant king. No chaos, no confusion, no wasted movement, only control. One of the alien ships tried to break through the human line, pushing forward with everything it had, its engines burning bright, its weapons firing in desperation. For a moment it seemed like it might escape. Then one of the human ships moved, just one. It fired a controlled burst of energy. The alien ship lost power instantly. Its weapons died, its engines failed, and it drifted helplessly into the darkness. No explosion, no struggle, just silence. The message was clear. There was nowhere to run. Inside the command ship, the crew no longer waited for orders. They looked at the commander not with trust, but with fear. "What do we do?" one of them whispered. The commander did not answer. Right away, he stared at the screen, watching the Titan, watching the human fleet, watching the end of everything he had built. Then slowly he spoke. "Open all channels." The officer hesitated but followed the order. The commander took a deep breath and spoke into the system, his voice no longer filled with pride. "We surrender." The words echoed through the ship, through the fleet, through the empty space around them. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the Titan responded, not with words, but with action. All human ships stopped moving. Completely, all weapons powered down. But the pressure did not fade. It remained, like a reminder, like a warning. The alien fleet waited, not knowing what would come next, not knowing if surrender even mattered against something like this. The commander closed his eyes for a brief second, understanding, finally settling in. This was never a battle. This was a demonstration, a message to anyone who would dare to challenge humanity. And now they were part of that message. The silence that followed the surrender was deeper than anything the alien fleet had ever known. It was not the silence of peace. It was the silence of something far greater. Something that did not need noise to show its power. The Terran War Titan remained in front of them, its massive form still glowing with controlled energy. But now it no longer prepared to attack. It simply existed, like a giant watching over everything. The human fleet held its position around the remaining alien ships, forming a perfect circle. There was no gap, no weakness, no escape. Inside the alien command ship, no one moved. The crew waited for destruction. They waited for the final strike that would erase them like the others. But it did not come. Instead, a signal appeared across every screen, every system, every channel, a human transmission. The commander slowly opened his eyes. As the message filled the room, "You chose to surrender." The voice was calm, the same voice from before, steady, without anger, without emotion. The commander stepped forward, his body heavy with the weight of defeat. Yes, we surrender. We will leave this system and never return. There was a short pause. Then the reply came, "You will leave." But not as you arrived. Confusion spread across the crew. They did not understand what it meant. Before anyone could ask, another signal moved through the fleet, a wave of energy softer than before but still powerful enough to touch every ship. Systems began to restore lights. Returned engines, stabilized weapons remained offline, but everything else came back slowly under control. The alien crew looked around in shock. They were being allowed to live. The commander felt a strange mix of relief and fear. Why would humans spare them after everything? The answer came with the next message. You will carry this memory. You will tell others what you have seen. You will remind them, do not test humanity. The words settled into every mind on every ship, heavier than any weapon. This was not mercy, this was a warning. A message sent through survivors instead of destruction. The Titan slowly began to turn away, its massive structure shifting with the same calm movement as before. Its weapons closed. Its glowing systems dimmed, but its presence never faded. The human fleet followed its motion, staying close. Moving as one perfect force, the path out of the system opened. The alien commander understood. They were being released. Leave. Now the human voice said, no threat, no anger, just certainty. The commander did not hesitate. All ships, prepare for exit. He ordered, his voice quiet but clear. The remaining fleet slowly aligned. Their ships' engines began to glow again, not with power, but with caution. One by one, they moved away from the human formation, passing through the silent line of ships that watched them without reaction. No one spoke. No one dared. As the alien fleet entered warp and left the system behind, the commander looked one last time at the fading image of the Terran War Titan, a machine built by humans, a power beyond anything in the known galaxy, a force that did not seek war but could end it without effort. Time passed and the story spread across systems and empires faster than any signal. The tale of the day when a conquering fleet met something they could not defeat. The tale of the War Titan and the message that came with it. Humans do not chase enemies, they wait. And when the line is crossed, they respond. From that day forward, the galaxy changed, borders were respected, wars were reconsidered, and in the deepest parts of space where silence ruled, one truth remained. No one wanted to see the Terran War Titan again.